Hey, welcome back. It's Mickey Mikeworth, and I am glad I have some notes for our class today on expander moments. And boy, I've had a lot of them this week myself. So, expander moments are those times when you're about to get a lesson and you're about to grow. So, I'm just going to kind of walk you through that prosperity mindset of again, how do you what do you do with that? A lot of times we look at things as obstacles, and I don't. That there are a lot of obstacles in the world, but they're really a lot of times that they're an expanding moment. And so I try to remind people that we are here to grow. You're going to fail a bunch. I'm going to fail a bunch. I'm not going to do everything right. You're not going to do everything right. So that's the point of the show, right? That's the point of this world is that you get to expand. And so sometimes that's like making something larger. Sometimes that's just kind of pushing a little bit, kind of constantly pressure towards something that's just going to extend your reach. Sometimes it's a detailed out thing where you're like, oh, this fills in everything, right? And then you have expander moments that are there to really provide information. And that's really where you are getting clarity. So when you think about an expander moment, you got to think about those four aspects of an expander moment. So they are, right? Is this making something larger? Is this extending something that already exists? Is this a detail out? Or is this there to provide you some information like clarity or demystification? Sometimes something just happens and they just, right, it pops. So an expander moment is sometimes when things just blow up in your face, which I hate. And I get a lot of those because a lot of times in corporate life, I'm the velvet hammer for a lot of things. So I will frequently go into situations where things are a little dicey. It's a little more difficult, and language matters. And so sometimes things just blow up in my face a lot that I didn't cause, but it's a moment because I'm there, and this is my life experience. Because I'm there, I kind of have to look at what's happening, what's the positive, not necessarily to put a spin on it, but to really bring back the mindfulness of that, right? So an expander moment has those kind of sections, those four sections. Sometimes they make things larger, sometimes they extend something that's already existing. Sometimes it's a chance to detail out, right? Like we can get more detail on it. We can expand what we're looking at. And the other is sometimes it just provides information. And that's really for most people around demystifying something or or clarity. One of the demystifiers is so I had one in class the other day that I had this woman Maria, who wanted all she wanted in her life was a farm. And I'm like, oh, great, let me take you to one, right? And we had this expander moment. And this expander moment was that she took this apple and she was like, I want chickens and I want goats and whatever. Well, she made some mistakes. Like all this had been in her head. So Maria, we go out to this farm. It is a beautiful day. It is fall in Minnesota. Oh, you can just smell it. It's so good. It's so good. Now, she thought she was going to have a different kind of expander moment. She thought she was going to have a magical item where she was going to get all the information provided to her because she wants a hobby farm. And this is the moment. This was her moment. So we get out to this hobby farm. It has goats, it has chickens, it has horses, it has trees, it's got acreage. This is very doable. And it's a woman who started with just the same amount of money as she's got. There's a lot here, right? So this expanding moment, I didn't have an outcome for it. I'm like, well, let's just go see what happens. So we're out with the baby goats, and she bends her backside down. And for the other goat, that was a nice little target. So here, this goat saw this target and just boom, right there. I mean, he came and popped Maria so hard, she just thought she was like, oh my gosh, that is the most awful goat. And everyone who has had goats knows don't ever bend down in front of goats. Don't bend down. Um, don't turn your back and bend down. That won't work. They will butt you. But she didn't even know that could happen. So then we went and we kind of talked about it and laughed about it and wow, I'm learning something new. Okay, great. So then she went and picked an apple and she was going to go feed the horses. But the horse, she was standing here with the apple in her hand and she wasn't giving it to the horse. And this was annoying the horse. And she was over here watching, paying attention. And he just reached out with his nuzzle and just gently nipped at her arm to let her know, because he had brayed, he had done some other things, and she wasn't paying attention to that horse. So he went down and nipped at her shoulder, and she screamed, and the apple flew, and she just couldn't believe it. Like everything is attacking her at this farm. And so expander moment. And I said, well, he was tired of waiting. If he sees the apple, you have to. The owner is like, if you see the apple, you have to give the apple. Like you can't you can't not do the task. You have to directly give the apple because they are waiting for that reward because they watched you this whole way. They watched Maria go across the farm and so forth. So we're on the car ride home, and Maria is in tears that her expander moment, the meaning that it had brought to her, she just thought, oh my gosh, this is the worst. Like my dream has been birthed. And I said, Maria, you have never had this concept other than a Disney production of what animal husbandry is about what it's like to actually care for animals, not just to like them, but to be with a multi-species relationships. These are multi-species relationships that you are going to learn something. So we talked about this on the way home, and it was about a 2 hour drive. And at the end of the drive, what does Maria come up with, right? The conclusion, because she's going to have to walk through those kind of 4 steps, just like you and I are going to have to do when you're having an expander moment. One, right? Well, there's kind of 5 steps. There's 5 steps to an expander moment, right? The first step is like, wow, what is happening, right? So that's kind of giving it some voice. 2 is understanding the meaning. What is all of this telling me? All of this is telling me, right, that I don't know anything about actual animals. That doesn't mean that it's the wrong thing, but it means that this is what's the understanding, right? So number 2 is what's understanding. Number 3 is to process the moment. So we really spent a lot of our time just processing the moment. What did you like? What did you notice? What are there, right? And then number 4 is you really have to come in. Number 4 is my favorite step of expansion moments because that's really when the grace comes in. That's really when the blessing comes in. That's really where you kind of get that affirmation of what's the wisdom. The wisdom is that you've had a wish that you actually had for a long time and that you didn't know a lot of those things. So the wisdom is that you probably need to spend more time on a farm. Or the wisdom is that you need to be in an environment that allows you to be with other animals if that's what you want. And then the number 5 is like, what's the movement forward, right? Number 5 out of that expander moment step is like, what is the adjective, right? Am I moving? Am I moving forward from it, or am I going to move away from it, right? So an expander moment really says, am I gonna keep going in that way, or am I going to just pull back and recalibrate? And what she kind of came to at the end, which we laughed about, was maybe I'll start with gardening. And, but her life had been goats, baby goats. Oh my gosh, and chickens and horses and land. And oh my gosh, it's going to be so great. Well, when she really got there, she's having an expander moment. And at first, she just felt all of that pain, that all of the dream, and that moment where everybody kind of gets mad at me because they're like, you just showed me my dream and it's horrible. No, that's the wisdom you're going to take away is that dream really for you? Is that the dream for you? Expander moments, while they may be frustrating, while they may be crushing, sometimes they are not. Sometimes something's going to, right? That demystification. And sometimes it's just that sometimes the expander moment is small. It just goes, oh yeah, I need to do it this way. Sometimes you have those great expander moments. I have that a lot in when I watch people, how they put things together or the order that they do something, right? That sometimes it's just this little fermenting of something forward. So not all expander moments are something that's going to blow up in your face. I just happen to have a lot of blow in the face. I have a lot of things blow up in my face. But and I have that happen with a lot of you. So thank you. Thank you for all your expanding moments with me. But so when you think about expansion, the part that I want to remind everybody is that that is there for wisdom. That what is the purpose of expansion? The purpose of expansion is that that's life, that's learning, that's what we're there. What you have to take it from in a prosperity mindset is that this is the blessing, this is the grace, this is the affirmation, this is how wisdom is gained, is through looking at what happens, acknowledging it, and really gaining that understanding and the meaning of what this is, right? And that and you've seen in other videos that I've done, right? What's the thing under the thing under the thing, right? So, right, sometimes we go, oh, it's this thing, and then we start digging into it. It's no, it's that it's the thing under the thing under the thing. Really, sometimes it's like three down, and that's actually the thing that we actually have to process. So an expander moment, while it may be looking like it's this thing on top, it's actually the thing under the thing under the thing under the thing. So you have to kind of think about what is that? And that's the wisdom. So when you're taking on these expander moments, you're going to have them. I'm going to have them. We all have them, right? There are four different kinds again, right? Something that's going to make something larger, something that's going to extend an existing reach, something that's going to get detailed out, or something that's going to provide you information. And when I look at that provide information, that's clarity, right? I know I'm never going to do that, right? Sometimes we look at people and we're like, I know that I never want that. Whatever that is, I never want that, right? So sometimes that providing information is clarity or demystification. Then when we look at expander moments, when we're in it, we have those five phases, right? So one is, right, what are we noticing? Number two, understanding the meaning. So one, it's calling it out, right? One is calling it out. Two is, what is the meaning? What does this mean? How do I understand this, right? Is it the thing under the thing under the thing? Then we have to process it. So, and that's talk it through, walk it through, tie it, just finish the knot, right? And for those of you who have used that knot to thing, right, you have to kind of process all of the knots that are in that wire. And then that's number three. Then number four is we have to look for the wisdom, right? What is the grace we have to give ourselves? What's the affirmation that we need? Sometimes it's just, I need a breath because like my whole dream just burst out in front of that. Sometimes it's that I just need to cry it out. Sometimes it's that I have to look at the ineffectiveness of a process. Sometimes I have to look for the third way of being. So I have to look for the shared common existence. I'm looking for the wisdom in number four. And number five is really looking for that movement. What is the movement? It is never stay in place, but it is maybe stop until the wisdom is provided, stop, and then decide, are you going to move forward or are you going to move backwards? Right. And that doesn't mean like backwards because you're doing it wrong. It means, do I need to move further into this, or actually did I get my message that says I should walk in the other direction? So don't think about it in a negative term. You're really just thinking about it's a directional. So you're looking for the next movement. What's the next direction I should be taking? So welcome to your life. Welcome to thank you. Those are my notes, but thank you for spending time with me. And it's so important. It's so important that you take this time for yourself and love on yourself, because it is an act of courage. Loving yourself and your journey is always a rebellion. And that's the rebellion you should be fighting, because you I can trust, and you should too. All right. Well, have a great day. Of course, I always want to see you in class. If I don't get to see you live in class, I'll see you here. So if you have something you want to say, go ahead. If you want to share your expander moment, everybody loves to read the comment section. So leave it there. All right. I'll see you soon. Bye.